Hello Internet, I'm Dan.
And I'm Chaz, and this is Wine is Serious Business, episode
227.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot.
We're here today with two special guests, Barnaby Tuttle, a regular favorite, and Daniel Immich, visiting from Germany. He was on the show last year. He's back today to talk some more about his excellent wines and hopefully some interesting stuff about Riesling in general. While we pour the first wine, we'll start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the 2012 vintage was like pronunciation's going to be wrong. Enkirch?
Anker.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the 2012 vintage in Enkirch?
Well, the vintage was kind of difficult because so we had a lot of problems with mold, and then also a lot of problems with birds eating the grapes. Also wild boar eating the grapes, which has become a tremendously problem in the Mosel.
Really?
It's been getting worse over time?
Yeah.
Wow.
213 not so much, but 212 was a big problem. And yeah, that's it. So, so we had in 212 less quantity, but really awesome quality. And yeah, that goes.
Fantastic. And Barnaby, what do you think about 2012 in Oregon for Riesling? Everybody's heard all the hype about Pinot Noir. Does it translate to Riesling?
Well, I think we probably need to take a test and see how the wine is.
All right.
But overall, I'd say 2012 was a very easy, relaxed vintage. The fruit was extremely clean. And I think now is sort of a good time to get a barometer of how the wine's turning out.
Cool. Well, the first wine we've got in our glass, I'm going to take these off because I can't read anymore. I'm sorry, I'm breaking the facade here. But this is the 2012 Riesling Eisbruch. This is a Trocken Riesling from Immich Anker. And for those of you who didn't see the previous show, the Eisbruch is a small designated area of one of the, which vineyard? Is it the Steffensburg vineyard?
No, it's called Eisbruch.
Oh, it is. That is the name. The real name. Oh, good deal.
The translation would be Eisfall.
Okay.
Icebreak.
Fantastic. Which right, really old vines, and that you know you bottle separately due to the quality. So I'm looking forward to trying this.
So there you go.
I know. Let's drink it. I gotta change all the shades.
All right, you want the red?
Yeah, I want to rock the red ones.
Red ones.
Smells like German wine, I think, man. I've just like some nice minerality on the nose. Definitely like a little bit of like lemon peel, like lemon curd in there. I wouldn't say it smells creamy though. It's just like this nice tart citrus.
You can smell the rocks.
As a matter of fact, that's something I want to go to Germany and try out. Like I want to see the vineyards.
I have rocks.
Is it something?
Oh, yeah, fantastic!
It's illegal here because it's German.
I'll smell it.
Contraband.
But you know, we should do like
Can't smell the rocks.
Philip Hogg from Fritz Hogg. He made me try and chew the rock.
Yeah?
So put it in your mouth and just try and chew, like a little bit. Oh, come on. You're with the Mosel Mafia.
Go
for
it. Lick it.
Chew the rock. Actually, wow.
Yeah.
It does taste.
You
like
can kind of
something.
taste,
Yeah.
You can taste.
Oh, that's definitely a different. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you grind off a little bit on your teeth. You probably leave a little of your teeth on the rock.
Just a little bit.
But it's clean, I guess. It's nice. It's good.
The lemony aromas are there. Like it goes a little bit
experience.
Like golden apple. Like a little bit of like fresh golden apple to it. Smells really good though. Smells very German.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks.
Man.
Good viscosity.
Man, it's good.
Yeah.
And those of you who've been watching this for a while, you know that I often have a hard time with dry wines. Like the alcohol level can creep up a little bit on me. Sometimes I feel like the acidity can be a little harsh. Sometimes too, like you're chewing on a lemon peel. And I don't see any of this at all. There's a great sense of purity through it. The acidity is crisp and kind of keeps things tight, but it never gets bitter. It never fights with the fruit flavor. It stays really clean and refreshing all the way through.
The fruit flavors are really interesting on this. It's almost like underripe like stone fruit or something, rather than being like lemony or sort of like green appley, right? It's like there's a peach just on the edge of being underripe.
Yeah.
Really, and then that lends sort of like to the weight on the palate. Yeah, delicious. Yeah.
Do you harvest more by taste, or do you measure the grapes in the lab?
Well, we do both.
Okay.
Well, basically, it's the basic thing is that we try to keep the alcohol pretty low. So I don't like wines with so much alcohol.
Sure.
Because drinking 2 glasses, you're probably get wasted. And so if the wines are like 12% in a dry, maybe 12.5, Riesling at its best. So well, and then of course we taste the grapes, we measure the grapes, and then we decide if they are going to pick them or not.
Yeah, this is now. Yeah, boy, another fantastic bottle of this wine. It's been very consistent for me, so I'm excited to try it every year. Any thoughts on how this tastes for you, especially in contrast to the American Rieslings you work with so much?
I mean, it's late. I mean, clearly the wine, you can taste the mineral. And I'm prejudiced. I like Mosel Riesling.
Me too.
It's why I make wine. And clearly I made the decision to import these wines, so I have a very soft spot.
So does this area of the river still freeze? Do you ever get ice? Ice
not
there
so much. I mean, there's
yeah.
definitely climate change going on.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last time was in like '98 or so when the Mosel totally freeze. But the thing is, the name Eisbruch or ice break is exactly when the river is covered with ice, where the ice breaks at the point where the vineyard is. So this is where the name is from.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What are we going to drink next? What's the next one?
I think we should, well, let's just do mine.
All right.
And then we'll have a finished project.
Was that too abrupt?
No, not at all, man.
Yeah.
You keep us rolling.
I'm trying to keep the show going.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right.
Keeping it
Really
organic.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do this next. We'll do a little rinse.
So the cool thing about this show is that these are the 2 base wines that ended up in the bridge, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's terribly exciting. You get to try these 2 side by side, with the people who respectively made them. So,
So this is just the rinse. Here we go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Crow Vineyard? This is something you've been working with for a while now, right? This is
Since 2009. So
yeah,
Crow
one of your
Valley
signature
Vineyard,
wines.
high elevation, west slope of the Coast Range, southwest of Eugene. I think for a couple of reasons it's interesting is I think more people should be drinking wine from not just the South Valley, but East Willamette Valley as well. It's not as well known. The terroir, bell pine soil, which also has a very high iron content. This wine tends to, as it matures, have a little bit of that sort of rusty, iodine character that can make it pair nicely with game, quail, pheasant. So I think right around 700, 800 foot elevation, nearly 40-year-old vines, beautiful site, very marginal. This fruit always, well, you shouldn't say always, with the exception of this year, always comes in November. November 31st up to December 3rd.
Wow. Yeah, late.
like really late.
Super minimalist. The guy is just doing like just maybe a little bit of sulfur spray, no systemics, very gentle.
This is the Teutonic Wine Company, 2012 Crow Valley Riesling, one of the standbys for Teutonic Wine Company. What do you think the Crow Valley Riesling brings to the world of Riesling that you feel is unique about it and interesting every year?
That's a really hard question for me to answer. I like the vineyard. I like the terroir. I like working with Steve, the guy that runs the vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a really, really difficult question for me. I think my mentality about these vineyards is, you know, I foster the grapes. Mm-hmm. I make the best wine I can with it. I let the terroir show for itself. I guess the terroir, being bell pine,
Yeah.
it has that sort of high iron content, and you get this rusty iodining. This wine might not be quite old enough for that to show, but when it comes through, it really pairs nice with wild game like duck, squab, quail.
And that's not something you hear a lot of, but it's amazing, especially like when I talk to Germans, right? You can pair Riesling with everything, right? Like good pork dish, a steak, whatever. Because there are so many different styles, right? There's so many different terroirs. You know, Riesling's a good pairing for almost everything. And I think, right, the really mineral-driven
Mm-hmm.
ones with more earthy character can definitely hold up to some of those more flavorful meats, right?
I mean, maybe the question's better. Maybe you're a little bit more objective, that you guys can tell me what you find about the terroir of this vineyard.
I'll say I don't actually have an image in my mind of what Crow Valley brings year after year, because it's definitely wrapped up in my impression of what Teutonic Wine Company Rieslings in general are, because that's been such a consistent portion of it. But with that caveat in mind, I feel that something that you consistently bring to the table is apple flavors that are consistent with, I think, a lot of Oregon Rieslings, more towards the red apples, I think, than the green apples you'll find more in the Mosel Valley, and a good sense of purity, right? Like they aren't. It's not like sweetened apple drink or something like that. It's not an apple flavoring. It's like a real good sense of purity to the fruit.
Well, I think my goal with these, when I work with the vineyard, is to make a real honest reflection of what the vintage is. So there's no, there's no playing with the sugar. There's no enzymes. It's just very natural. We culture the yeast from the vineyard. I think biology is a very important aspect of the terroir and neutral oak.
Cool. And
then just stopping it in a place where I feel that that the sugar and the acids retain that tension, which is something I love about Mosel Riesling.
I say for me, it's always Dan hit on the purity of fruit. You guys, especially the Rieslings, always have a really distinct purity of fruit, but then the acid that's paired with them is always wonderful. And so that's sort of your guys' hallmark, at least to me. But I think both vineyards, the Medici that I'm familiar with and this Crow, show that, but with different sort of fruit aspects or different sort of flavor aspects to them. But both sort of have this like line of purity and acidity that are really special. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So, and this is sort of right in line with that. The nose. Definitely a little step down from the German wine, like the fruit flavors aren't immediately apparent on the aromas. Definitely more towards like lemon zest. Maybe a little bit of the eye-dining thing, like maybe it's just a...
it might be the suggestion, but I'm getting
suggestion. Yeah, a little bit of that in there. But the flavors on the palate are definitely more, there's more intensity to them than the nose would let on, so.
I like how it sits on the palate where you get a little bit of those apple flavors, but the acidity is really full here without getting too aggressive. And I get a real sense of minerality on the palate, which is not something that you get broadly, I'd say, in New World Rieslings. I still really appreciate it when it shows up, and that's something that you definitely have a real good skill for bringing that out. And so it keeps things interesting while the fruit keeps it pleasant and enjoyable. The acidity keeps it really clean. Well put together, definitely. I think it's drinking real nice right now.
Agreed. And totally changed from, I had this bottling about 6 months ago, and it's definitely fleshed out a little more. Like the fruit flavors are definitely a little easier to understand, a little more out front. Whereas, when I had it 6 months ago, it was a lot of acid. Like the acid was
much more linear.
Yes, very straightforward with a ton of acid. And this is still got great acid, and it's very well integrated with the fruit. But man, the fruit is just really nice on this right now. So awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. And so, what brought these two wines together?
Well,
right?
any thoughts as you taste this right now? Anything that jumps out at you?
Well, somehow it tastes pretty German to me. I mean,
awesome.
Less minerality, of course, because it doesn't have this.
Right.
And but anyway, he's making such a good job with the Crow Valley. It tastes a bit more ripeness than my wine, which you're referring to your fruit style. So, but anyway, so I really like this one. I found somehow a peach in it. Do you think so?
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
It's great.
But I have to ask you a question. If somebody brought you this wine in the Mosel Valley, would you identify this as Riesling as you know it?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes, of course, obviously not from the Mosel, but I would say it's Riesling.
You're a worldly man. I can tell you that the first time I brought a Crow Valley Riesling to the Mosel Valley, remember most of the people that are drinking the wines from the village, if they've had Riesling, almost every Riesling they've had in their life has grown from slate, red slate or blue slate. And we were pouring these wines for people, and it was hilarious. They'd say, "So what do you think of the wine?" They go, "Oh yeah, this is great. What kind of grape is it?" And I'd say, "It's Riesling." And they'd say, "No, it's not Riesling. What is it really? Is it Pinot Gris?" And I was like, and then I was like, "Well, I grow this fruit is grown in clay. And they're like, well, why would you grow a Riesling in clay? And it's because where we live, this is all we have.
Yeah, we're not surrounded by amazing steep slate vineyards, but yeah.
That's not your fault.
Yeah. But we're learning to do good things with what we have on hand.
And this is like, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Oregon at all. We've been doing this for 50 years, and I think for 50 years, if you guys could go back to the Mosel Valley when the Romans first came, and could do shows with their elblings, I have a feeling that we're kicking a little bit of ass over the first 50 years.
Yeah, they probably made some pretty rough wines.
They didn't even have Riesling yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to admit that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a great experience with an Elbling before? Have you had one where you're like, oh man, this is amazing?
Well, if you are into Elbling, then you should definitely something take from the Luxembourg area or well, northern of Trier area, which they do actually a good Elbling there. In my area where I'm from, so the Middle Mosel, Elbling is not so common at all. I know some wine estates who have that, but it's not really that, because Elbling doesn't fit really to this slate only thing. So in the northern area of Trier they have more chalk.
Yep, chalk.
Yeah.
Chalk, and so Elbling goes really good with that one. And the best for slate is Riesling. So
hey, and if you guys want, we have an Elbling collection at home. Mostly, I think, from the Uber Mosel, which Daniel's speaking, which is above Trier, so it's all chalk.
Sure.
And I think we have sparkling, some like non-dosage. And I think when it really nails it, it's like a very lean, chalky Chablis. In fact, we should have a table full of Olympia oysters.
Cool. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do an Elbling show sometime in the future.
And here's like,
That would be cool.
and if you want to really geek out, you want to get deep in the dirt, and this goes back to the Romans, Roter Elbling. But they don't make a red fruit with it, they press it off white, but there's a red Elbling. Have you had this, Daniel?
yeah, it's good.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes open for it when we're in Germany later this year. For now, we're going to move on to wine number 3. This is the Bridge. Oh, you know, one of the most interesting wines probably ever made in the United States, really. This is an ambitious project brought together by these two guys. We just tasted one wine from each of them. This wine is a blend of both. How long ago did you decide to do this? Was this just like the year before? Like, let's put our next harvest together?
I got this damn telephone call.
Oh, really? All right.
Actually, it was Skype. So
It was Skype?
Right, it was Skype. Well, one night I just come up with the idea. So, well, Barnaby and I know quite now for more than 4 years, and well, we developed a friendship, and I was always like, we should do something together, like, you know, a project. No, what can we do together? So, and then one night I woke up and I said, okay, we should do a wine together. So we are winemakers, so obviously that's the thing to go. And then we figured it out how to go. And yeah, my idea was, let's blend wine together. He's a Riesling winemaker, a good one for sure, and I'm a Riesling winemaker. So yeah, so I took my 212 vintage Eisbruch Trocken and his 212 Crow Valley vineyard, and I fermented it and bottled it and brought this over here in December last year, and he blended the wine.
We did it. And so I just got to clarify something. So we're both Riesling lovers. How many things in this world are better than Riesling?
Maybe one.
Exactly. And not to be cliche, but we can all guess what that is. So, and the next thing, are there any grapes better than Riesling?
You're asking the wrong person, actually.
And the wrong person's asking. Riesling is why I get out of bed in the morning and put my trousers on. Riesling is why I make wine. Riesling is the reason we're such good friends. Riesling is, I think, the reason we're all in this room.
Yeah, Riesling's why I drink wine.
Yeah. Okay.
Got me into it. It's a magic grape.
Yeah, it is.
It always puts a smile on your face,
Yeah.
that's for damn sure.
And I mean, what grape can have such a transparency to the soil? I mean, and I think Riesling is a litmus to what the soil, the vintage, and the winemaker. And I think Riesling really rewards the winemaker that is humble enough to leave things alone and let the vintage, the vineyard, speak for themselves.
So before you, I'm sorry to keep doing more talk before we get into the wines, but I hope this is interesting to you folks. Before the wine was, right before the wine was blended, right? Like seconds before you dumped it together, like right before you put it on the shipment container, like what from your Eisbruch did you hope carried through into this blend?
Well, I hope the acidity, which is acidity does, and because obviously Oregon Rieslings do not have so much acidity. I mean, it's not your fault, but you know that's the way it is. And of course, character from the Mosel. And let me say something here, which is winemaking, or speaking of terroir, is or bringing the terroir to the people. It's not just like the wine and the different soil types we have. It's like it's furthermore. It's the way we do business. It's like talk to each other, and you know, making business together. It's like being honest to each other, and always honest to be your customers, and to everyone. I mean, it's further more than just Riesling and drinking and making wine. It's just the way you are, and yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Same question for you. What did you hope from the Crow Valley came through in the bridge?
That's, I would say.
I'm giving you terrible questions. Like, I'm sorry, Mark.
No, these are great questions. And if I was the right guy could answer it.
No,
I think that what's really beautiful about this idea that came from Daniel, and at first I was a little bit on the fence because I always like to make single vineyard, but this really opened my eyes and kind of changed my mind about some notions that you know, even though that we both are driven to do what we do and we're terroir purists, that something about both of us and our belief systems came together. So you can think about our friendship in this wine who comes from sort of a very purity about who Daniel is as a person, and the transparency, and both of us are making wine very similar, super minimal intervention, you know, wild fermentation. We're both doing the same things. We put it together and we didn't do any bench trial. We took 500 liters of his, 500 liters of mine.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
And this is the thing. This is the thing I will say, and this is maybe a little bit risk.
Just went for it.
I think, and I said this earlier tonight, but when you take a barrel sample, and I'm going to modify or manipulate that wine to taste like something else, knowing what my wine tastes like in barrel right now, and having an idea how it will taste in a year from now, would be like looking at the weather chart today and planning a wedding in August. That I have such a little understanding about nature and how these things in the process evolve. And just saying that, when we first mixed these wines, it was like drinking two wines at the same time. There was so much, it was chaotic. Cacophony, I think would be a good word.
Nice.
And the wines gradually are coming together, and I think what we taste now, it will pale compared to how this wine tastes in a few years. But I think the philosophy behind it of blending the friendship and blending the terroir of two vineyards that are very close to us is exciting. And I just, when it comes to these things, I feel very small, and maybe I don't have the world's best palate. I'm just, you know, try to have the gentle hands that let these things happen.
Fantastic. Well, let's see what it tastes like.
It's just, yeah, it's just crazy that these are those two wines to me, because they're just, yeah.
The complexity on the nose is great, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm getting like honey notes that neither one of them have on their own.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that in either wine.
And maybe the underripe peach that I sort of picked up in
Yeah.
the Eisbruch is like fully ripe here. Like it's definitely stone fruity, but just aromatically wonderful, like really complex on the nose.
And for me, like once again, this goes back to the thing for Daniel and I to sit there like a team of scientists, like we take two beakers and blend them together equally in December, to think we could have predicted this would border on extreme arrogance. There's no way any rational person could have predicted this to taste the way it does, because it doesn't taste anything like the two, because wine is a living organism.
Man, yeah, it's delicious too, man. The purity from both definitely persists. They work together like friends, right? Like
Absolutely.
The flavors don't compete at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What surprised me most about it, now that I've had these two wines side by side with this, is the viscosity and the weight that came out of this wine in particular. I shouldn't say I don't get it in the other two, but like there are definite aspects of where they're maybe there in the other ones, just not the entire time. And this is just weighty and just very has great intensity on the mouth. Really surprised by it. Like it's
And it is it's a dry wine, right?
Turned out amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it doesn't finish like a dry wine. It's crazy. Like
Yeah, it's great. And I have this experience with dry wines, like every once in a while, again, right, where there's not that bitterness, and you have like a good, like full mouthfeel without alcohol,
Right.
really causing much trouble. Or I'd even say, it's definitely contributing part of it, but not all of it. Like there is just a good sense of complexity that's coming from two interesting wines coming together.
Sure.
Well, maybe we should mix all our vineyards.
All right.
And then I could open 3,000 bottles a year. Wait, 30,000 bottles a year.
So I heard you say that you bottled it and shipped it over. Did like you literally bottle it, ship it over, and then you pull all the corks and then unscrewed all the corks?
1 liter bottles.
When we
No way.
When we are talking about how to do this project, it was like I called my the lady I'm working with in the transportation company how to do this, and I asked her to bring 500 liters to America, and she said, well, there's actually no way to do it, and because all these normal tanks are like 11,000 liters or even more, so then we decided that we just bottle the wine in 1 liter bottles, and because the alternative would be like a plastic tank, and well, you never know how long the wine sits in a plastic tank, and then afterwards it tastes like plastic, so I don't want to take this risk.
It would have been 6 months. Does anybody think leaving 50% of this wine in a plastic bag for 6 months would have made it better?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It takes pretty long time to get wine from Germany to the US due to strict German custom laws, American custom laws. So that takes a long time, and you never know how long that takes actually. So yeah.
Well, good job on this,
Man.
By the way, like
Thank you.
Barnaby and Daniel put in lots of extra work, like you frequently do, and great results come out of it. We don't do this all the time with guests, but I'm going to take a moment to make a distinct sales pitch for this wine, because they kind of got screwed over by the American government's archaic alcohol laws. They can't say Riesling on the bottle.
wow.
It's white wine. They can't put a vintage on the bottle, even though all the grapes come from 2012.
Okay.
Both Barnaby's
I
wine
didn't notice
and
that.
Daniel's wine. They can't vintage date it. They can't say that it's Riesling, but it's both of these things.
We can't say Mosel or Oregon. We can say
Yeah.
it's fruit. We can say the United States, and we can say Germany. That's it.
Yeah, and even on the back. So look for it, right? Like, go to the website, like just look up Teutonic Wine Company. They sell direct to consumer, right? Is this on the website now? Is this ready to rock? Great. Just got a nod from Olga. Yeah, like you can go online, you can buy some bottles of the bridge, have it shipped directly to your house. Another 3 fantastic wines. Any final remarks you guys want to make?
No.
Thoughts?
Well, maybe people should ask, why are we wearing the sunglasses?
There we go. Why are you wearing the sunglasses, Barnaby?
Because we're the...
Mosel Mafia.
All right. Okay, well then we'll have a question of the day. Either one of you can field this, but probably better. Is there anything that you're interested in the thoughts of our viewers? Any question you'd like to ask them about anything, really? You could ask them about Dixieland Jazz if you want. But
Do you like Dixieland Jazz?
done and done. And list your favorite band if you do. That could be interesting. He said his parents are big fans.
They are.
So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks so much for sticking around to watch this. thanks for taking the time to come do a show with us.
Thanks,
This was a
guys.
really good
Thanks so
time.
much.
Thank you.
Love having you guys on the show.
Yeah,
so,
this is what we do it for. To
Yeah.
share interest in people with the world, hopefully. So have a great night.
See you guys.
See you.